The MMDA has been closing more and more U-turn slots on EDSA, and motorists are complaining more and more, worsening congestion, longer travel time, more stressful EDSA motoring. Motoring Forum discusses how motorists are reacting to the closure.
Over the past few weeks, traffic congestion on EDSA began to worsen. Some said it has returned to pre-COVID pandemic levels. Others said it was way worse. Angry motorists are blaming the closure of U-turn slots along EDSA as the main cause of the worsening traffic congestion. Also blamed is the EDSA busway project, which designated the innermost lanes of EDSA exclusive to buses, meaning one less lane for private vehicles to use. The EDSA busway project and the U-turn closures are linked. The DOTR and the MMDA are coordinating in the EDSA busway project, which aims to shorten travel time of buses and therefore shorten travel time of commuters. The EDSA busway project was started when authorities were just easing travel restrictions under community quarantine levels, with relatively few motorists running on EDSA. With the help of the DPWH, the MMDA began setting up barriers to prevent motorists from entering the bus lanes. As the authorities moved to completely enclose the busway and set up loading and unloading zones, the MMDA announced that it will also begin to close the 12 U-turn slots. The closures began near the end of September, starting off with a U-turn slot near Trinoma Mall and North Avenue. As expected, this caused bedlam, many claiming they were uninformed about the closure or did not see the many signages in place days before the closure. Then, it was the U-turn slot in front of Quezon City Academy. Again, directional signs about the closure and pointing out alternate routes were in place. Still, more bedlam, with each successive closure, the one near Corregidor Street, then the one near Dario Bridge. Traffic congestion got worse and worse. By the time the MMDA announced the closure on November 23 of the U-turn slots near Oliveros Drive and the Balintawak Market, traffic congestion on EDSA has gotten so thick. A clamor to reopen the U-turn slots began to grow louder. Congressmen added their voice to the clamor, including Quezon City 1st District Representative Anthony Peter D. Crisologo, who called for a second look at the closures and to perhaps reopen intersections on EDSA. Echoing the complaint of many motorists, Crisologo said shortening the travel time of EDSA carousel buses at the expense of the motorists is of doubtful wisdom. Crisologo called on transportation authorities and other stakeholders and private motorists to sit down and discuss alternative solutions to how the EDSA busway project can continue without necessarily closing all U-turn slots on EDSA. Meanwhile, private motorists should also learn to adjust to the U-turn closures. The MMDA and other government traffic management experts have been plotting alternate routes to avoid needing to make U-turns along EDSA. Perhaps motorists can also learn to plot routes themselves and avoid using EDSA altogether, if possible. The MMDA and local government units have lately been clearing secondary streets of obstructions identified for use as alternate routes. Before the advent of Waze, many motorists pride themselves in knowing shortcuts for going from one part of the metro to the other. Some routes may seem circuitous or longer, but get motorists to their destinations faster. Transport authorities, the MMDA, and the DPWH have already spent a lot of money and effort to establishing the EDSA busway and are not about to stop in mid-effort. The closure of U-turns is expected to continue, but perhaps a more thorough study needs to be done on how to make the EDSA busway and the private motorists coexist better on the whole length of EDSA.
The MMDA and the DOTR appear steadfast in making the EDSA busway a success. This necessitates closing U-turns. Perhaps, as some are suggesting, not all need to be closed. Perhaps in wide segments of EDSA, U-turn slots can remain open with better traffic management to ensure the busway lanes remain clear at all times. That's our Motoring Forum this week, courtesy of Suzuki Philippines.